Are you into Asian languages? If you are, that's a smart choice. Learning an East Asian language might give you access not only to opportunities in some of the world's largest economies, but also to incredibly rich traditions in terms of history, culture, and arts. So let's take a closer look at three of the most popular Asian languages: Mandarin Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. We'll be comparing different aspects of these languages, such as the pronunciation, the vocabulary, the reading and writing system, and the grammar. Our goal? To try and decide which of these three languages is the most difficult. Let's face it, learning an Asian language is significantly different to learning another language from Latin roots, for example, Portuguese or Italian. So I think it's fair to say that, especially for Western learners, some aspects of learning an Asian language will require a little bit more time to master. We're going to be talking about the speaking skill first, and for that, we're going to be listening to three native speakers, starting with a Chinese speaker.
大家好，我来向大家介绍一下普通话。普通话是中国的官方语言，也是世界上使用人数最多的语言之一。它被广泛使用于中国的各个地区，并且越来越多的人在世界各地学习普通话。普通话是一种非常有趣和丰富的语言，它有4个声调，这意味着同一个音节的意思可以因为声调的不同而发生变化，所以发音是学习普通话的关键之一。但是不用担心，只要你勇于尝试，慢慢练习，你会逐渐掌握正确的发音的。
Mandarin Chinese is known to be hard to pronounce properly because of its tone system. There are also quite a few sounds that have no equivalent in any Western languages. So you'll need to practice a lot these new sounds. And some sounds can be pronounced in different ways and have different meaning. Let's take the syllable ma, for example. This syllable can be pronounced in 4 different ways and have 4 different meanings. So imagine the confusion if you pronounce this syllable wrong.
今から三河弁について少し紹介したいと思います。最初に紹介する言葉はじゃんです。この言葉は標準語だとじゃないかという言葉にあたります。例として危険じゃんという言葉は危険じゃないかという意味になります。この言葉は比較的有名で三河以外でも使う人はそこそこ見られます。次に紹介する言葉はだらです。この言葉はでしょという意味があります。例えばすごいだらと三河の人が言ったら、それは標準語に直すとすごいでしょという意味になります。
Japanese, on the other hand, uses a short range of syllables and without tones. So once you get the grips on how these syllables work together, pronouncing words in Japanese just kind of feels like slotting Lego blocks together. It's quite hard to get wrong, and small mispronunciation mistakes are usually still understandable.
안녕하세요. 저는 한국인이고요. 저는 현재 영국 보모스에서 유학 중이고, 영국 온 지는 벌써 6년째가 돼가고 있습니다. 제가 처음 영국 올 때 나이는 12살이고요. 초등학교 5학년 때 왔습니다. 이제 한국에 대해서 좀 말해보자면, 이제 한국은 이제 좀 서로방을 존중과 배려가 많고 서로 이제 정이 많죠.
Korean, in the pronunciation aspect, is kind of like an intermediate between Japanese and Chinese, you know? It doesn't use tones, but the sounds are a little harder to grasp than the relatively easy ones in Japanese. In terms of vocabulary, because Japanese and Korean both have Chinese roots, there's a lot of similar vocabulary amongst these 3 languages. That's why if you already know one of these 3 languages, this will definitely give you a massive head start for learning another. But out of these 3, I can confirm that Japanese is the one that has the most English cognates, 22%. Korean has 15%, and Chinese has very few cognates with English. So because of that, for the vocabulary aspect, let's score 4 out of 5 on a scale of difficulty for Mandarin Chinese, 3 out of 5 for Korean, and 2 out of 5 for Japanese. Let's compare next the phonemic structure of these 3 languages. And by that, I'm referring to the alphabets, in plural. Yep, check it out. The alphabet is definitely the hardest aspect of learning this language. Although this language uses only one writing system called Hanzi, it is made up of many complicated symbols that seem like pictures more than an alphabet. These symbols are Chinese characters, and they each represent a meaning such as a word, sound, or a grammatical function. The writing system for this language is based on radicals. A radical is just like a graphic component. You will need to learn 214 radicals and the correct order of placing this collection of strokes to make up one character. With practice, time and effort, you can eventually learn how to read and write in this language. Now, the Japanese reading and writing system uses not only 1 or 2, but 3 essential alphabets. There is hiragana, katakana, which both have 46 letters in totals, and kanji, which has thousands of letters. I know it sounds confusing to understand why a language needs 3 different alphabets, but the differences of those alphabets are actually so clear that it's not as hard as many people think. If you're interested in learning more about the writing and reading system of the Japanese language, then I recommend you watch this video later, in which my colleague Sarah teaches about this topic. I'll leave in the description box the link so you can watch the video later. And last up, we have Hangul, the Korean writing system. Yes, Korean only has 1 writing system. Phew. Hangul combines the Korean word Han, meaning great, and Gul, meaning script. However, the word Han is also used to refer to Korea in general. So the name can also be translated to Korean script. The Korean alphabet is one of the easiest alphabets in the world to learn. There is even a consensus that says it is the most logical and easiest writing system out there. It only has 24 letters, divided in 14 consonants and 10 vowels. It's entirely phonetic, so once you've learned the symbol to match the sound, you can technically read any Korean word. Believe it or not, you can learn this alphabet in just a few hours. Last but not least, let's talk about the grammar of each of these 3 languages. If Mandarin Chinese was at the top of the list in terms of difficulty with its alphabet, now it's balancing out, because we can say that the grammar is the easiest out of the 3 languages. In Mandarin Chinese, there are no verb tenses. So instead, specific words are used to indicate the time, like the past, the future, and the present. On top of that, verbs, nouns, and adjectives don't have to agree with one another. And there is no such thing as singular and plural in the Chinese language. Japanese grammar is also very different from English, and we could say that the Japanese conjugation is quite limited compared to Western languages. There are no genders or number agreements, and the sentence structure is very flexible. You might find confusing the verb that goes at the end and the use of particles to indicate the function of a word in a sentence. Here is an example of a simple English sentence translated to Japanese, so you can see how much they differ. I gave bread to him. I him to bread gave. And finally, Korean. As mentioned earlier, it has the simplest alphabet. However, grammar is the toughest of the 3 languages compared. Korean is what's known as an agglutinative language, meaning words are often stuck together to create new meanings. This can make individual words, when first looked at, trickier to figure out. It also uses a lot of connectors to form sentences, and this can take quite a lot of practice to start using naturally. So, to wrap all of this up, let's score up and see which of these 3 languages is considered the most difficult. Chinese, apparently. Although the total scores are very close. And please, bear in mind that this is based upon my colleagues at Mosalingua and my opinion. But of course, other learners might have a different opinion and experience with learning these languages. At the end of the day, learning any language will always be a challenge, no matter its level of difficulty. So tell me in the comment box if you intend to learn one of these 3 languages. And that's it for today. Sai-chan, sayonara, annyeong.
If you learned something new from this video, give it a thumbs up. Then, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications. Have a look around our channel for more hacks and tips. And if you're watching on another social media platform, like or follow our page. See you next time.